Toxicity has always been a problem in competitive multiplayer games. There's no denying that. If you glance over the r/Valorant subreddit, you'll see tons of posts complaining about toxicity. What's funny is that everyone likes to believe that their region is more toxic than the rest. Hi guys, this is Eggwick, and today we're going to be answering the question, which region is the most toxic in Valorant? If you like this vid, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's free and you can always unsubscribe at any time. Enjoy. First, let me discuss how I got the data. I asked you guys on YouTube and on my Discord server if anyone wanted to help out with this informal experiment, and to my surprise, a bunch of you did. I recruited 3 players per region and had them play 20 solo queue competitive games, coming in at a grand total of 60 games per region. Also, some participants bailed midway, so I had to recruit more people to finish the task. This was a logistical nightmare at times, and I just don't know if I'm going to do these types of videos again, but we'll see. These players were all around bronze to gold, which is what many people consider to be the most toxic ranks. They were tasked to take note of toxicity and document bad behavior, as well as list down their findings in an online spreadsheet. To those who volunteered, thank you so much for helping out. This video would not have been possible without you. All their links will be in the description down below, so be sure to check them out. I'll also include the spreadsheet we used so that the data is transparent and so that you guys can form your own conclusions. Here's what we found. Surprisingly, NA was the most toxic region, coming in at a whopping 36.6% rate of toxicity per game. This means that for every 10 games you play, you'll encounter toxic players in at least 3 of them. Second to NA is EU with a 31.6% rate of toxicity, and lastly, Asia coming in with 28.3%. This was new to me, as I've gotten a lot of comments saying that Asian servers are the most toxic, but it's a welcome surprise to know that my region is the least toxic among the big 3. Secondly, as expected, you're more likely to encounter toxic players when losing. This is because winning teams generally don't have much to fight about as long as they're getting rounds, and it's a lot easier to flame others when you're losing. In NA, 56% of losses had a toxic player, while only 24% of wins had one. In EU, it was about the same, with 54% of losses having a toxic player, while only 17% of wins having one. This pattern changes on Asian servers, where you're likely to encounter toxicity whether or not you're winning or losing. 30% of losses had a toxic player compared to 28% of wins. The difference is minimal at best. Although Asia has the lowest rate of toxicity, it's also the region that's least affected by game result. This is interesting because I would have thought that a positive game outcome would lessen toxicity, but not in Asian servers, I guess. Third, to measure the intensity of toxicity, I had players rate their experiences from mild to full-blown. In hindsight, I should have asked players to rate it on a scale from 1 to 10, but let's work with the data we have currently. Please note that this part is subjective, as some players might consider something full-blown, while others would consider it mild. That said, surprisingly, NA also topped this, with 41% of toxic encounters being classified as full-blown. In comparison, EU is at 15% and Asia is at 11%. What in the world is going on in NA? Fourth, a common theme amongst all regions is the use of KD ratios as an insult. I don't know if this is something that's more prevalent in lower ranks, but if someone is bot fragging, a teammate will usually point that out. This isn't reflected in the data, but you can check the video files for proof. I've also spoken to the participants, and another theme was that they were experiencing less toxicity than what they expected, especially on European servers. It might be that they got a good run of games without toxic teammates, or it could also be that we remember toxic games more than we remember the good ones, which could be related to negativity bias. Either way, it's just something to keep in mind. I'm a bit disappointed that we couldn't draw more conclusions, but I'm also pretty satisfied with what we have, considering that we only had 60 games per region to go by. Although this was a relatively short video, this informal experiment took a long time to gather data for. I want to thank the volunteers again for their effort. If there's anything we can learn, it's that the number of toxic players per game is still too high, in NA especially. 36.6% is just too much. I hope that as a community we can come together and try to be nicer to each other. Aside from that, if you have any experiences with toxic players or any comments regarding the data, I'd love to hear them down below. Thank you so much for 27k subscribers. This is Eggwick, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time.